Welcome to How to Make a Vision Board. I am Alicia Turner. I am a life coach, a teacher, spiritual gangster, and I'm also known around these parts as a master vision board creator. And that's because anything I put on my vision board will come true. And that's exactly what I'm going to teach you how to do today. So welcome. Vision boarding is for anyone in any season of their life because they allow us to take a look at what we want our life to be. So this applies to anyone that is alive and breathing. When we don't have a practice like this, we become so careless with our time and attention until we end up finding ourselves in a life that does not match what we authentically want. This alone is what leads us to feeling overwhelmed, anxious, insecure. And these are not fun emotional states to be in, I promise you. All that they create is more confusion, more spin out, and ultimately more of the sense of feeling that you're stuck in life. You are not stuck, my friend. You just haven't taken the time to create a practice like this, and we're gonna fix that today. Because if we don't start today, what happens is these emotional states will lead to resentment. And that resentment not only turns inward, it begins to turn outward. And you start to project it onto the people and places that you love and want to feel grateful for. So we don't want that happening. We're gonna do something about it. Let's get started. This training is in 2 parts today. Right now, in part 1, we're gonna be covering what a vision board is for, what it's not for, and how to make one. In part 2, I will be taking you behind the scenes to see actual footage of my husband and I make our next vision board together in my living room. It's gonna be super fun. After that, I'm going to take you to the archives of my old vision boards out in my garage, and I'm gonna show you some of the most insane, amazing, incredible stories about how the things I put on my vision board came true. First up, we're going to be talking about what a vision board is for. It's going to be all about the goals. What do you want? It's not about figuring out the how. It's not about what you have to do to create it. It's just, what if it was already there? What if I could have it right now? What do I want? So we don't want to get stuck in how we'll do it, right? When we sit down to plan goals, to decide what we want to come from the place of full imagination. Anything is possible, right? It's all about you letting yourself discover what it is you're really wanting. And not just in 1 or 2 areas of your life, in every area of your life. Because we didn't come here to live and have a mediocre experience. We didn't come here to settle. We didn't come here to be boxed in. We didn't come here to let time pass us by without having a say in our creation of our life, right? That's at least my opinion here that I am offering to you. But I think it's a helpful opinion and one I would love if you adopted. So we want to sit down and find inspiration. We want to use the function of our brain that allows us to visualize. The part that we did so well when we were little kids, we could dream up anything and just revel in those good feelings now. This is the same for vision boards. We want to create the feeling of having the thing, even if it doesn't make any sense how you do it, when it would happen, and who you would have to become to have this thing. So we want to just bypass the rules of reality, use this part of our visualization, and really dream big, right? Free yourself to consider all possibilities. Don't keep yourself small. Don't keep yourself practical. I'm not saying we approach life impractically and just stay wishing and stay in this place of daydreaming, but we do start here. We do let ourselves go there in this process of planning goals because we don't want to cut ourselves off from our own potential. We have yet to see how capable the human brain is. We've started to see it, right? There are a few individuals out there that just blow our minds with what they're able to achieve. But we all have the same human brain. So let's just start here and then go from there, because this is exactly how I've created everything in my life. And I guarantee you, my first vision board, the things I put on that board seemed crazy and impossible. And like, I'm just considered crazy for wanting exactly and specifically what I want. And then all of it came true. So you tell me who's crazy. The people who don't ever imagine their possibilities, or the people who do and are willing to risk being wrong or failing in the process. Next up, we have what a vision board is not for. So just look at these. Take a look at them. It is not so we can create the vision board and then expect it to do all the work for us, while we can just sit on the couch at home, eating chips and looking at our phone. That is not what a vision board's functionality is for. It's also not an excuse to hide. It's not an excuse to avoid actually changing, right? We don't want to create the vision board and then just wait and hide from our lives. We actually have to be willing to create it, and then to go out there and be open to receive ideas and ways to figure something out. We have to be willing to try, be willing to fail. And so that cannot happen if we are hiding and avoiding from our lives. So be careful with those. Also, a vision board is not a way to feel entitled to your goals happening, right? You don't get to make a vision board, put all this pretty, amazing stuff you want on it, and then feel entitled for the universe to give it to you, right? My approach to vision board, it is influenced by things like The Secret and the law of attraction, but it is not entitlement, right? We take accountability for what we're creating. We take ownership of how we're thinking and showing up. And that is so much more than just waiting for the vision board to do the work for you. That's not what's happening here. We have to become the person. We have to overcome obstacles standing in our way. And if we're doing any of these things, we're not using a vision board for what it's really for. And lastly, it's not for people who don't like to get uncomfortable. It's not for people who don't like to grow, who don't like change. If you are a person who is very disturbed by feeling uncomfortable, this might not be for you. This might not be the process for you, because even just the first step of sitting down, planning out what you want and thinking about it, that can be uncomfortable in and of itself, because it's making us stop, take a break, take a beat, and consider that we can have a different future than the one we have now. In deciding to create a vision board, in deciding to undertake this process, you have to be willing to get uncomfortable. You have to be open to seeing things differently, to taking a different path, to making different decisions than the old you might have made. And so this is a really big part of the process, because we want to be aware of what it's not for and not fall into any of these roadblocks. So next we're going to talk about actually breaking down the steps of setting these goals, of planning them. And we have to address every area of our lives, right? That's what a vision board is for. We're not compartmentalizing certain specific areas of our life. We are taking it as a whole and spending focused time and energy really nurturing all aspects of life. Because what we do in one area is usually what we do in every area. So we don't want to neglect any part of ourself, of our life. We want to include it. We want to give it focused time, attention, and care, because it deserves it, right? And so these are the areas I choose. I feel like this encompasses everything for me. So next we're going to go through each area specifically and talk about what we need to include and what you need to think about when you're sitting down to plan out your vision board. First area of life, we're talking about relationships. So we don't only want to focus on romantic. Sometimes people tend to only think about that area, but relationships are everything. They're the relationship with your family or your chosen family, however you consider that. They're your relationship with friends, even strangers, right? How do you interact with strangers? Of course, a romantic partner or partners, if that's something you like. And then we have professional relationships. Who are your colleagues? Or if you manage people, who are your employees? Who is your boss, right? And then we want to talk about community. Who are you in your corner of the world, and what are you to your community? So we want to be really specific, and I'm going to repeat this 100 times for every area. When you're making a vision board, you don't want to just be like, I want it to be good and fun. No, you want to bring in all 5 senses, and you want to get so specific and so detailed and so clear about what you want that you can already see it happening in your mind. And people tend to avoid getting this specific because they're like, well, it could never really happen, or I don't know how it will happen, so I don't want to set myself up for failure. No. We all have unique desires. We all have a unique vision for our own lives. So you've got to get those details in there. How do you want these relationships to look? How do you want to interact with these people? How do you want to feel around them? What kind of conversations do you want to have? What kind of moments do you want to share with them? We want to get all of this down, brainstormed and thought about until you are so specific you could be painting a scene for a director to film, right? You're giving them every moment, capturing the whole picture of your relationships. And if you're struggling in any of these relationships, then focus on that one. What's not working in that area right now? What is working, and how do you want that to change? Ask yourself these questions. Are you being the community-minded person that you want to be? Are you not even thinking about it? Professionally, what do you think of your coworkers? How do you want your relationship to look? Does it match the way it looks right now? We want to just explore and get specific. And again, I'm going to say that about 100 times because goals can't be vague, because then we'll never know if we're really doing it or not. So use those 5 senses and paint the picture. And the same goes for your health. We want to encapsulate the entire thing. We want to look at your lifestyle. We want to look at your habits, your sleeping habits, your eating habits, your drinking habits. We want to look at your mental and emotional health. What if I could take a picture and capture a single moment in your day? What is your average mental state of mind? What is your average emotional state of mind? How does that compare to where you want to be mentally and emotionally? What habits do you currently have? What habits do you want to have? Fill that gap, right? That's what this vision board begins to do, is it bridges that gap for us. It helps us see where we are and where we want to go. How about your physical health? How do you take care of your body? Do you take care of your body? Do you think about it, or is it an afterthought? Do you hold your pee all day? Do you get up and go for a walk? Food, exercise, outdoors. What is your relationship to all of these? These all play a factor in our health. All right, next up we have career and money. I put a little green line because we want that paper, right? So, this is something I don't think nearly enough people do. When it comes to career and money, people are living in boxes. They're not imagining that it can be a different way. They think they are tethered to their current career and their current income. And that, of course, there's nothing they can do about it because they don't pay themselves, right? They're not their own boss. I want to tell you that that is bullshit. And that is why something like a vision board and taking the time to think about this is so vital to your overall well-being, because you're lying to yourself if you think you don't have a say in any of these things. You do. You always do. And please hear me when I say, if you never take the time to think about what you want, you will never create it. So you'll just prove your thought true that there is nothing you can do about it because you're not doing anything about it, right? So do something about it here, even if it feels impossible right now. Even if you feel like, oh, I don't deserve that, right? I'm not good enough. I don't have the education or the degree or what have you. I want you to do this anyway. I want you to set your pride and your practicality aside and do this exercise. Spend focused time long enough to hear the answer that's in you, right? Not what other people want you to do, not what you think you should do, what you want to do, what you know you would love. And so you've got to answer these questions. What are you doing to earn money in your best life, in your wildest dreams? How much money do you make? And please don't sell yourself short here, right? We didn't come on this earth to struggle and to settle for less. How much do you want to make? Let yourself dream big. Let yourself be so impractical that it would piss someone off if you told them about it. That's the whole point. What are you doing in your job? What's the value you're adding? Are you helping people? Are you helping someone else help people? What are you creating? What are you doing? And then tell me what a workday would look like. Where are you in the world? What do you dress? Who are you with? What kind of events do you do in your day? How many hours a day do you work? Where do you work? And then finally, we want to look at money and how we invest and spend it. How are you investing and spending it now? And how does that compare to the future version of you that has a better idea of how they invest and how they spend when they have that amount that they really want to be making, right? We want to click a picture of you in the future, the person who already has all of this. And we want to connect with it enough to where it feels real in our body right now. Huge. So the first time I did this, it felt impossible. I've worked in restaurants since I was 17 years old, which means I've been working for minimum wage and relying on the public for a decent living, right? When I went to sit and brainstorm all these questions, I felt like it was laughable. I'm talking about what I want to do. I didn't know life coaching was a thing. But I was just like, I just want to work from home with my dog and help people and talk about the things I love to talk about and make a really good salary and add a ton of value. And so obviously it was much more specific than that because that's the rule, right? You're not being vague, you're being specific. And it felt like laughable that would ever come true, that I would have my own business, I would work for myself. But here we are, my friends. And so just be willing. Just be willing to try it out. Be willing to dream bigger for yourself, because if you don't, no one else will. It's just you and you, honey. Let's talk about time. Time is more valuable than money, my friends. Like, far more valuable. And in my humble opinion, taking the time to create a vision board is the best way to use your time because it's going to send you a return. We spend our time frivolously. We spend it recklessly. We spend it as if we've got an infinite amount of time to spend, and we don't. So if you get anything from this video, even if you don't make a vision board, hear this. The way you spend your time is more valuable and more important than anything else in the world. So we want to take a quick audit of how you've been using your time and compare that to the you that has all these other goals, right? It's already achieved them. So take a look at all this. Take a look at your life. Think on it. How are you spending your time right now? What's an average day look like for you? What do you do in your free time? How productive are you? And then how do you want to spend your time? What would you love to be doing? Where would you love to go? Who would you love to see? What's like a dream event you could think of doing? What are your hobbies? Do you have any? Are they just like looking at your phone? Do you want hobbies? You don't have to want hobbies. How about travel? Are there places in the world you want to see, but you've been wasting your time thinking you have an infinite supply and not planning for any of the things you'd like to be doing? We want to look at a couple ratios here. How does your productivity compare to your rest? How does your consumption of whatever compare to your creation? How much time are you consuming content? How much time are you creating it? And finally, how do you protect and manage your time? Are you protecting it at all? Are you managing it? We want to take a look at all of these things because they determine your future, right? Do you spend your time making a vision board, or do you spend it ignoring your future, not taking care of it, not protecting it, and not managing your current mind about what you can do moving forward? Time is so important. It's more important than the money aspect of things. And most people don't care to think about how they spend their time. They just let time keep happening to them and they feel like a victim to it. We are not a victim to time, just like we're not a victim to anything in life. We create our experience with our mind, and we also create how we use our time. Are we using it wisely? Or are we being crazy dumb with it? And finally, we have spirituality. So for me, spirituality is simply how you connect to yourself, right? How do you talk to yourself? What's your opinion of yourself? What do you believe about yourself and what you're capable of? This is spirituality to me. It's as simple as that. It's going to be how you focus your energy. Do you focus it at all, or do you feel like you're at the effect of it? Kind of like the time situation. Probably like most situations, we feel like we're at the effect of our relationships. We feel like we're at the effect of our career. We are not. We are the creators of them. We're the creators of our own experience. And so creating a vision board will help you see your agency and authority over your life. And it'll help you see how you've been neglecting your agency and authority. So spirituality is how you manage your thoughts. We have about 60,000 thoughts a day, and all from the subconscious, right? They're all just from our conditioning, our patterning, how we were raised. We want to manage those thoughts, because if we don't, they will control us. We want to control them. This is a skill we can learn, and it's a skill we want to learn if we want to actually create all these goals. And so we want to also talk about practicing gratitude. That is also spirituality in my mind. If you're practicing gratitude, are you doing that now? And is that something you want to start doing? Practicing gratitude solves about 80% of our problems. And so for me, putting this on my vision board was huge, because I had spent so much of my life feeling sorry for myself and feeling very ungrateful. So it is something I wanted to add to my first vision board, because I saw that I needed more of it. And then finally, spirituality is how you play, how you grow, how you rest, and how you trust yourself. Are you doing those things, and do you want that? So something to consider there. And lastly, we have the final step. Once we've covered every area of our lives, once we've sat down and thought really carefully and specifically about what it is we want, we've realized it's important to us, then we just go out and make the actual board. So I always say a physical board is greater than a digital form, just because taking it with your eyes, your hands, and putting it into something real that you can see and touch and smell and taste if you're weird, it's going to have more of an effect on you. Digital, we look at screens all day. it's not going to sink in that same way. So that's just a preference I have. And then how to make one. Just use paper, poster, a freaking napkin. I don't care. I'm pretty sure my sister put a little vision board on a napkin once, and it was awesome. And it had stick figures and colored pencils, and it was amazing. I choose poster. I choose like markers, and I print photos. So do whatever feels right for you, right? Use a pencil if you want. Cut out magazines. Go to Pinterest. Go to Google. Try to ignite that visualization process by seeing what it is you want. Usually it already exists out there. And that's also how we know we can do it too. It's already existing, so why can't I? And so from here, we're going to go downstairs and we're going to actually make a vision board together. My husband and I have been vision boarding together for a couple years. And so I'm just going to show you the process, and I'm also going to ask some of the most common questions about vision boards. And then we'll wrap up at the end by showing you some of my very first vision boards and how specific I was and how I have it all now. So come on, let's go on downstairs.